Greetings and welcome to the Simply Monique Radio Show. I'm your host, Monique. Before we dive into our show, let us first read our foundational scripture and share the purpose of this platform. 1 Corinthians chapter 10, verse 31 in the King James Version. So whether you eat or drink or whatever you do, do all to the glory of God. This platform is for individuals to have authentic conversations about faith, business, and lifestyle. This show allows guests and the audience to be educated, empowered, and equipped to achieve success personally and professionally. Book recommendations are as follows: Educational, Developing Healthy Work Habits, 7 Steps to Shift Your Career by Monique Washington. Inspirational, House Fire, When a Little Girl's Prayers Ignites into a Passionate Journey by Dr. Latanya Desisol. Relationships, The In-Tune Husband by Charles Maris. Children books, The Life of a Seed by Khaleesi Sheree. In business, The Kingdom-Driven Entrepreneur's Guide, Doing Business God's Way by Shay Bynes and Pedro Adao. Still Running with Blinders, The Top 17 Mistakes of Small Businesses Make by Brian Joubert, a.k.a. Rich Boy. Be sure, ladies and gentlemen, to tune in every Thursday at 3 p.m. CST, 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for another episode of the Simply Monique Radio Show. Please like, share, subscribe, and follow us on all major platforms.
Hey y'all, it's Taisha and Bryant, the Parent Healer, and I support the Simply Monique Show, a show for real people about real conversation. Tune in every Thursday at 3 p.m. Central Standard Time. I am the founder, CEO of We Have a Purpose Incorporated, a nonprofit organization that provides prevention and intervention services for at-risk youth and their families. I am also the owner of Resilient Family Wellness, where we specialize in parent and emotional distress coaching. We believe that our parents must heal so our kids can live and break from the cycle of pain. Speaking of pain, have you ever been involved in a car accident? If so, have your attorney contact us for your coaching after the crash, where we enhance your life and your settlement. Remember, your mental health is just as important as your physical health. While we're here, head on over to www.taishaandbrian.com and grab my books, Imperfectly Perfect, 3 Steps on the Parenthood Journey, and Resilience Over Regret, a journey of teen pregnancy, faith, love, and family. Yep, your girl's an author too. Again, this is Taisha and Bryant, the Parent Healer, and I support the Simply Monique Show. My husband and I are tuned in every Thursday at 3 p.m. Central Standard Time. I love y'all because I can, and there's nothing you can do about it.
Hey, this is your girl, Pastor Mo, the Confident Woman, and the founding pastor of New Life International Ministries. I want you to know that I am a supporter of the Simply Monique Radio Show, and I invite you to tune in every Thursday at 3 p.m. Central Standard Time on all streaming platforms. This show is a platform for individuals to have authentic conversations about faith, business, and lifestyle. The Simply Monique Radio Show allows guests and her audience to be educated, empowered, and equipped to achieve personally and professionally. Sit back and listen on all streaming platforms. The Simply Monique Radio Show.
I am Jared Lasky of Fireborn Ministries, and I was graciously hosted by Monique on her radio show. And I had a great conversation with her on my podcast, Adventures in the Spirit with Jared Lasky. I fully support and endorse Monique's outreach that is reaching countless people around the world. My ministry, Fireborn Ministries, lives to see Jesus awaken this generation to the power of the Holy Spirit. Whether it's through podcasting, e-courses, webinars, seminars, conferences, coaching, books, or evangelistic crusades in places like Pakistan or India, we also liberate persecuted Christians from brick factory slavery and rehabilitate them with new jobs that help support a free educational school for poor kids in Pakistan. Our world needs the gospel, but also biblical, ethical, entrepreneurial kingdom businesses setting captives free. It's an honor to partner with Monique and see Jesus move in your life.
Greetings, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Simply Monique Radio Show. I'm your host, Monique, and today, ladies and gentlemen, we have a very special guest. You all know that all my guests are special, but this one here is a CEO of Cultivate Network Leadership. He provides coaching and leadership skills developed to empower those underserved companies and communities by providing life skills through resilience talks, keynotes, public speaking, leadership perspectives infused from the perspective of faith. He's also a military veteran, if you will. He had over 20 plus years of experience serving as a public spokesman and strategic visual communicator for the United States Air Force. Yeah, shout out to the Air Force, okay? Okay. Uh, excuse me. His work has been seen on NBC, CBS, ESPN, whoop whoop, CNN, Fox, NFL, and of course, the Major League Baseball, okay? As well as being in the Pentagon. That's major right there, okay? So not only has he served in the military and featured on major networks, he gives back to the community. He believes that his passion to speak and empower others to start a leadership company, and they bring military leadership, tactics, and soft skills to businesses and organizations. And you want to be able to improve their personnel and staff. We all know how difficult having grumpy workers and grumpy colleagues it can be. It is just not a healthy atmosphere. It can be a toxic working environment. And we do not want that, definitely, especially now. It's too much going on in the world today to be in a place where you are unhappy and unsafe, mentally, emotionally, even financially. But welcome to the show, Mr. Anthony Nelson Jr.
Well, thank you for having me. It is an honor to be on the show and spend a few moments talking with you.
Yes, thank you, thank you, thank you. I know we had a few scheduling things, but we are finally going to get this ball and knock it out the park. So tell our listeners a little bit more about yourself. I know we shared a little bit about your bio briefly.
Yeah, absolutely. So I am a product of a single parent household. I grew up in Newport News, Virginia, aka Bad News. I tell people I bring the good out of the bad. That area is known for amazing athletes like Michael Vick, Allen Iverson, Tyrod Taylor, those individuals. So I grew up in a very area that was known for athletics, but also had some trying times being, raised by a single mother.
Yes, that is powerful. Being raised in a single parent household is definitely a a challenge. Especially, I saw some things recently that disturbed me greatly. And I don't know whether these kids were raised in a single parent household, just with their mom or just with their dad, but the images recently, Florida juveniles, they sold a car, right? It was like six of these kids, and you could see the look on their faces, how some of them, they were like street hardened already, but the other ones, you could still see like this vulnerability that they really don't want to be saved. They really want to be saved, and they don't want to go down that path. The other ones I saw, it's like they this is what they're choosing, And sometimes we can't reach kids, but I'm grateful that your mom, that she raised you and you were able to decide, hey, I want to make this decision. I don't know everything that you went through, but your mom was able to make a decision and how she wanted her son to come out. That you didn't have to turn to drugs, the alcohol, or criminal activity to become successful, or to make a name for yourself, if you will. Some other questions. Man, that image is still in my mind that I saw recently. I know I don't want to get on my soapbox. I have other questions for you, but I saw another image, and it was of a young lady who was surrounded by guys, and she was stripping or whatever. They were teenagers. They were all like 16 and under, anywhere between maybe 13 to 16, give or take, if that. And I was like, what are we teaching our children? What are they surrounded by? And I don't remember guys, maybe the guys my age, back when we were that age, maybe they were doing stuff like that. I don't recall. I don't remember girls doing stuff like that. We heard about like adults being strippers and stuff, but not children, doing such a thing.
Right.
So it makes you wonder, like, what kind of influence do we have on our children today? Is it positive or is it negative? Because obviously those kids who stole that car, And that young lady who's doing all this stuff in front of these guys and taking pictures and it's on the internet. Thankfully, somebody had sense enough to cover her up, But it was just circling. It's difficult. But nevertheless, that is not your story. And hopefully it won't be somebody else's story. They can turn things around. Now, you work for the Department of Defense, right? So how did you continue working with them after retiring, like going back and forth when you retire? As I reach you like, I'm back, So how are you able to continue to work with the Department of Defense after retiring?
So I indirectly work with the Department of Defense, right? I still have friends and colleagues, supervisors that are in. So, we'll consult and have conversations on, leadership, followership, things of that nature. But on a contractual basis, no, I haven't uh, obtained a contract with the DoD.
Okay, that is awesome. Now I hear a lot of people trying to do that. Is there certain requirements, certain things that's needed, or you just have to have all your ducks in a row to be able to do so?
Yeah, so, anything with the government, it is a process. So a lot of times, having all your ducks in a row, making sure you're meeting all the quotas that they're asking for, sending them, the information in a timely manner, following up. It is a lot of work. But once you're in, you're in. It's just you have to get over that hurdle, right? When we talk about like mental resilience, right? Like you can do everything right and feel as if, man, there's nothing else for me to do. But if you stay consistent and you stay persistent, eventually that wall will come down. Eventually, someone's going to answer the phone. Eventually, they're going to reply to that email, but you have to be persistent.
I love that. So the nuggets you would say is not only dotting your I's, crossing your T's, but being persistent, right? And having that mental resilience. So when you say mental resilience, let our listeners know a little bit more, if you can, about the mental resilience. Is that something area to speak about and share? Let's dive into that a little bit.
Absolutely. So most of the time, people have heard of the word meditate, right? They haven't really focused on another word, which is ponder. And ponder is similar to the word meditate. It's when you spend time thinking on a thing. So oftentimes we spend a lot of time thinking on negative thoughts or negative situations, right? So we are actually practicing meditation, right? We are practicing pondering and coming up with all these scenarios in our mind, but we're doing it in a negative way. So when we want to build our mental resilience, we want to flip the script, right? Because studies have shown oftentimes our worst case scenario never really happens, right? It's literally all in our mind. The way God created our brain, right? Like our brain cannot tell if a thought is past, present, or future. That's why your body reacts to certain thoughts. Like when you have a memory, right? A good memory of a loved one, you might start tearing up or laughing, or you might have a memory of a situation that was bad and now your body starts to ache. The brain and the body can't tell if it's present, past, or future. But we can stand outside of that thought, outside of that feeling and say, hold up, this is not presently happening. So I need to tell myself and I need to change my verbiage on this situation so I can build up the mental resiliency to overcome. A lot of times I share with people that I'm consulting with, you have the power to challenge your own thoughts. You have the power to challenge your own thoughts. So if a thought comes in and says, Anthony, you're not good enough, what I would say is, I doubt that. I would respond to that thought with another thought. I doubt that. Or who said this thought is accurate? Who said this thought has authority to now identify me and characterize me in this situation? So understanding that you that you can talk to yourself, right? As one philosopher said, be careful what you say to yourself because you're the one that's listening. Oftentimes we are saying negative things to ourselves. We're saying hurtful, harmful things to ourselves, and then we begin to believe them. So let's flip the script and let's really identify what's going on, where those thoughts are coming from, if they're true, if they have any authority, if they have any influence, and if they don't, we need to counter that with simple words, simple phrases like I doubt that, or I'm better, I'm working on this, not, I can't do this job or I can't do that. How about I'm at the level where I'm still learning, or I'm at the level where I need some more training, I'm at the level where I'm still curious about um, getting this degree or learning this task or this skill, so I'm going to find a way. And once we do that, we'll start to see our physical body change, right? Our posture change, because now, again, the brain doesn't know it's past, present, or future. So now we're speaking things and we're saying things, and our brain has to adjust to the thought that we're putting in there.
Mm-hmm. So what scripture came to mind was 2 Corinthians 10:5. It says, casting down imaginations and every high thing that exalts itself against the knowledge of God, and bringing into captivity every thought to the obedience of Christ. And so when we have those thoughts that are negative, or even some people, either we're saying those negative things or what I call word curses, or people are saying word curses to us, we have the authority to cast out those thoughts and to break those word curses, those negative thoughts or phrases being said to us by ourselves or other people. We have to break that, which causes us to then shift our mindset and shifting our mind with there. Yes. And shifting our mindset. There's a book by Dr. Bill Winston, and it's about, and there's two books actually, one by Dr. Bill Winston, and it is called Transform Your Think. Excuse me. It's called Transforming Your Thinking, Transform Your Life. And also there's a book called Winning a War on Your Mind, Winning a War in Your Mind. It's by Craig Groeschel. I think that's his name, Craig Groeschel. But
Okay.
yes, Craig Groeschel, Winning a War in Your Mind. Right, and with Dr. Winston's book, it says, radically change your thoughts, your world, and your destiny. And so, like you were speaking, if we change our thoughts, we change our mind. If we are persistent and we're consistent as far as trying to knock down those doors, those walls to get into those governmental jobs. So I think with any job in period, if you pursuing a career in healthcare, you could pursue a career in journalism or marketing, whatever the case may be, being persistent, as you mentioned, sitting the way you think, your mindset. I have a book called Developing Healthy Work Habits, 7 Steps to Shift Your Career. It starts about you developing those work habits, but your mindset has to start there. So the questions I have for you, Anthony, that pertains to being an entrepreneur here. As an entrepreneur, how have you overcame any staffing issues or customer complaints? Let's say someone doesn't like you, or someone like not only you but like your service. And so how are you able to handle those difficult moments? I've seen a lot of people complaining now about the service they receive, be it from an employees or the owner of a business. And so that they can be, recently I saw a video, and it was a major food chain restaurant was an altercation, and it turned out where their person was dissatisfied with the service, and so they not only explained it, but they became physically violent towards the employees there. And so, talk about a mindset. It's how we handle situations. So, how would you, as a business owner, a retired military Air Force member, how would you handle a situation of sort?
So remember, I told you I'm from Newport News, right? Newport News.
Yes, you did.
All right.
Yeah.
And I grew up playing sport. So I oftentimes relate my experience to sport, right? It's
Okay.
rooted and grounded in sports and faith, and all of those things kind of come together.
Mm-hmm.
To answer your question, When I was playing sports, whether it was football or basketball, I realized when I had a good coach, and the coach would tell me, you have to get your misses up. And I didn't understand what he meant, right? I'm playing basketball. I need to make the basket, coach. I need to score the 3-pointer. I need to make the layup. He said, no, don't focus on that. Get your misses up, because in the game, when it's time to perform, you're going to make more than you miss. But the reality is you have to get comfortable with your misses. The misses
That's good.
come, right, as you are attempting to do it. So the complaint or the disgruntled individuals, that is part of the process. You're not going to please everyone, right? Some people have motives to harm you and bring a bad name to your organization, but understanding that it is part of it. Understanding that, guess what? It's not summer all the time. We have seasons for a reason. And
Right.
sometimes you might be in a season where, there's complaint, there's disgruntled customers, but you have to understand trouble won't last always, right? We got to take a self-reflection and see, yes, is there anything that we could have done differently, right? Can I see it from their perspective? Yes, you got to do all that. But even in doing that, if you are right, understand that you cannot control the emotions of another person. The only two things you can control is your effort and your attitude to fix the situation. So I would encourage people to focus on those two things. Understanding it's part of the process. It's part of the highs and the joys of being a business owner, right? It's part of that. You're going to get that. But what can you control? You can control your effort, right? What you're putting out, what you're putting forth, your processes and procedures, and your attitude, your mindset. When this complaint, when this issue comes up, how are you thinking about it? Are you thinking about it from the perspective of a poverty mindset or a fixed mindset? Or are you using this as an opportunity instead of an opposition?
That's good. That's good. That is really good. I love that. I like when you say control your effort and your attitude. I never heard that phrase before about controlling your effort and your attitude. I heard like you can control how you respond to people and everything. You can control others, but you say control your effort and your attitude. And I think a lot of times, if as business owners, if we did that, what you mentioned, and realize that we have to understand, and we're going to get those low blows, those different things. People may not like our service or our products. You have to understand that. As an author myself, I've had to learn that people didn't like my books, and that my target audience is not for everyone. And some people, when you first start in business, you think you want to serve everyone. And that's not true. Right. You're not trying to serve every person, because every person isn't going to read your book. Every person is going to buy your merchandise. However, there is someone willing to listen to your audiobook. There's someone willing to listen to your music. There's someone willing to purchase your merchandise. But who they are, you won't know, right? Until you go through a few hurdles, if you will. You're like, all right, this book didn't work. This option didn't work. This sceneries, these songs, just like I was watching a documentary on T.I., Tip the rapper, and his journey and the different things he did. Some music, how he started with so many thousands of, before he even became like one of the best rappers in the industry, right? In the hip hop industry, right? Before he came there, he had different hurdles he had to go through to get there. And listening to it, he's like, okay, he had different people that he signed his record label as well, but everyone wasn't a success. So he said in his interview that, hey, I'm tired of carrying Grand Hustle, which is a record label, because his artists, they would release something, but nothing wasn't happening. But he finally got some people in there who actually made a difference. Their music, became popular hits, Young Dro, Travis Scott, different people. He finally got the right artists that were signed there, and their music, he was able to convince T.I. to control his effort and his attitude. Because now he didn't have to really focus on, hey, I'm in charge of this, I'm in charge of that, I got to push this, push that. As entrepreneurs, we also have to choose the right people that work for us. Your HR department he or she may not know they're the best person for the job. They may look good on paper, and I'll use myself as an example with that. I did an interview previously, and normally I would never be great at it. And the phone interview, everything went well, but the virtual one, I bombed. And I know I'm saying that because I did, not because I had other issues or whatnot, but I know better. So nevertheless, it wasn't for me. However, it was just my lesson as far as preparation, timing, everything matters. So, but I knew I wasn't gonna get. I knew I wasn't gonna get that position because of my effort, right, and my attitude.
Right.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, and it does. And I want to add one thing for the entrepreneurs out out there who may feel like, oh well, this market is flooded. Here's one thing I remember when my mom was alive. She would always say something, and I was like, Mom, well, it's not really like that. I don't really see it, yada yada. And she would say this phrase, "Baby, just keep on living." So, so, so what I learned about entrepreneurs is sometimes they would say, "Oh, the market is flooded." You can go to any shopping mall, any street in America, and you will see. Watch this. You'll see a McDonald's, and across the street you'll see a Burger King. Guess what?
Sure
They
enough,
selling the same thing. They
they
selling
sure
the
are.
same thing. Right? So,
Yes.
to the entrepreneurs, don't get discouraged. I'm relearning there is more than enough to go around. So don't think if it was only, well, this person's in the market and that's it, then we would only have McDonald's. But we got McDonald's, we got Burger King, we got, it comes with
Taco
chicken, you
Bell,
got
and yes.
KFC, you got Wingstop, you got all these things because those big corporations understand something. You can be on my street, but you're not going to do it the way I do it. You're not going to add the flavor that I add. You're not going to have
That
the
is
colors
true.
and the atmosphere and the climate that I have. You could be similar. You can be similar, but you're not going to have what I have. So I just say that to encourage entrepreneurs. Don't get it twisted and think that one person has the market. They don't.
Right.
They
That's true.
need you because, depending on maybe your upbringing, your background, your story, and obviously your product or your service, people will want to support that. They want to see someone who has their same background or similar background or upbringing, or, hey, I can relate to you more. Hey, oh, you just started out. I want to help you. So if you're constantly saying, oh, I'm not going to start because of this, I would challenge you and say, what if you start? Who can you bless? Who will be a blessing? Who can you be a blessing to because you actually started delivering on that product or you started to deliver on that service? Who can you bless? Because right now, if you're waiting, you're not blessing anyone. But if you actively pursue it and do it, those people will come to your door and you will be able to provide a blessing to them.
I love that. You said actively pursue it. That I listened to everything you shared, but that last little bit you put right there, you said a lot of nuggets in here. You said actively pursue it. Like if you wait, people can't come to you. But if you actively pursue it, right, then you can be a blessing to somebody. Yes. And so I think a lot of times fear can cause us to be stagnant. Fear, because we're afraid of like it's. And I've heard the phrase, everything is flooded, which is true. But when you were talking about restaurants, I thought about Sonic, because Sonic ice cream machine is always working. And if you go to McDonald's is not working, but you go to Sonic and you can get a burger, and you can get you a slushie, you can get different types of ice cream, at Sonic, because they sell the same thing, true, like you said. But I can go there and get some crinkly fries. I can't get that at McDonald's, At Burger King, they got a vegan burger, Impossible, meat burgers. They have that there. So what the things I want to mention to entrepreneurs and our listeners is that you should have something that makes you different. Someone said to me years ago, what makes your company stand out? What makes your business different from someone else's? I just pointed out some things with Sonic and McDonald's Taco Bell, Burger King, and the rest of them, they aren't selling burritos and tacos and stuff like that. Well, they sell breakfast burritos, but they have something that they specialize in. And that's something that entrepreneurs, something to make us stand out. Years and years ago, I had a fitness business, and someone asked me that question, but my fitness business was 24/7. Um, we were 24/7, 7 days a week. So people could, yeah. So you could get our services 24/7, 7 days a week. We worked. And we were faith-based, a literal faith-based business, fitness business. So that's what some things that made us stand out. Everyone isn't a faith-based. So we would pray before we worked out, pray at the end. We heard testimonies and things of that nature there. Something that makes us stand out. So what is one thing about your business, Anthony, that makes you all stand out from the rest?
One thing that stands out is we're relatable. We're relatable, right? We don't come in with the idea of, hey, this is how you do it, and that's it. We're like, hey, look, we want to provide you tools. And not only tools, but time-tested tools, right? As it relates to my leadership company, these tools have worked in sports. These tools have worked in the battlefield. These tools have worked with small teams, large teams, teams that are in charge of other teams, diverse backgrounds and upbringing and races, stages and faces, right? So we bring that and say, hey, if you're willing to be teachable, then you can access these tools, right, and apply them to your specific, venture, and it worked very well for you. And then we're like, my clothing line, we have a Christian clothing line as well. We say the same thing. Like, these are conversation starters, right? These are words that are going to have people look back and say, huh, I want to know more about that, or I wasn't thinking about that. So that's what makes us different.
I love that. As you said, your clothing line is a conversation starter, and your leadership business is about being relatable. And some notes that I want to recap while we're wrapping things up, okay? And I have one last question for you. But when it comes to the mindset, mental resilience, being able to flip the script, change your verbiage. You said about being persistent, being consistent with things. When you're pursuing a goal, or be it a goal, a job, shifting your career, whatever the case may be persistent, and be consistent. Making sure you get your misses up, like you said, with your coach mentioned to you or whatnot, because you're going to have those misses in there, but you kind of be prepared for those misses, be prepared for those unexpected turns. Control your effort and your attitude, being able to actively pursue your gifts, your talents, actively pursue your achievement, actively pursue it. Be relatable. And last thing you said about conversation starter, your business, your clothing line is a conversation starter. I have one final question, and then I want you to leave your final tidbits with us, okay? So my final question for you is, do you find it hard to get clients with artificial intelligence attention to dominate skills and careers?
I could see it being a barrier at times, right? Because
Yes.
we live in the information age. So people I just need information. I just need data. But I think what's so important that we would never get away from is relational aspect. You don't have a relationship with AI. You don't have a relationship with your phone, but you have a relationship with people, and you can see mannerisms and facial expressions and body language. All these things work together as they're communicating or sharing information and listening to you talk. So while AI is good, it can be used for good. There's something about that human element, something about seeing them on camera and talking to people, that just gives you the competitive edge.
Yes. I think that when we not a lot of views, but I would say when it comes to artificial intelligence, it's a deeper connection. And I say that as far as like the group, like there's a book called Pigs in the Parlor, and it's by the
Yes.
Fred and Ida. You heard of it? You know what I'm talking about?
Oh, yeah. I'm very aware of that. Yes.
Yeah, yeah, yes, right. And so, in chapter 20, it talks about demon groupings, right? And so we can use
Mhm.
artificial intelligence. Hey, that you think that is good. However, when you get into that, when you really get into that part there, we've been using artificial intelligence for a long time, but it kind of falls under in a demon grouping called the occult, right? People may disagree, but they like, well, it just, you know, it either I can write my papers, I can do this, do that, right? But it falls under the occult, right? The Ouija boards, the palmistries, handwriting analysis, automatic handwriting, right? Then people that think, well, no, that's not that. That's not that. That's you getting too deep in all of that. Think what you want to think. You know, if you, I have noticed, right? Think what you want to think. However, I'm just going to put it out there. Choose the knowledge. I'm gonna put it out there. Sometimes we attach ourselves and do certain things and open doors that we are not sure and aware of that we're opening. I have a friend of mine. She was involved in that whole world, and so she wasn't involved. She was involved in a cult for years, and she finally broke free from it. However, when you are not when you are not knowledgeable or aware of those things there, then of course you won't know. But I don't want our listeners to not know anything. You know, they want them to be
Mhm.
aware. Okay. So anyway, I know a lot of people are using AI for everything. They for pictures, for videos, just some they're using it everywhere. And it's gonna be pushed down our throats. I won't go into all of that stuff, even with the I won't get into that because that's not the focus. We spoke briefly about the artificial intelligence, and I want to share something with you all. That way, my listeners, I want to be transparent and clear with you. I have tried using the Chat GPT, whatever you want to call it, the artificial intelligence thing. I've tried that. But I also noticed when they would use that, the things that came along with it spiritually, the consequences. So when I was speaking about what doors it open, what it falls under as far as the occult, it wasn't because I'm not aware of something or I hadn't experienced it. I wanted to be clear, is because we've actually been using artificial intelligence for years unknowingly. Whenever you make a phone call, right? There's an automatic robot, right? Someone comes on there and say things. When you're on a computer, on your website, there's little pop-ups, and it's like a little chat bot, right? You're not talking to a human being. You're talking to a generated message. And so then they say, hey, we'll transfer you to an agent. And so if you're like me, you prefer talking to a human being. So I just want that to be clear as well to my listeners. Anyway, thanks for listening. Nevertheless, any last minute remarks you want to share with our audience, how they can get in touch with you, anything, and expounding on your clothing line, your leadership. I know, I saw recently you completed your trauma informed course. Congratulations. Congratulations.
Thank you.
That
Thank
is
you.
a tough journey there. You get into that really. It's a powerful course. So you finished it. That is kudos to you. So
Thank you. Yeah. So I can be contacted on LinkedIn. I'm on LinkedIn, Anthony Nelson Jr. My clothing brand, the name of it is Called Out Ones Clothing. We're on Facebook and Instagram. Currently, we do not have an online uh, house, if you will,
right.
or
It's
website. We've
yeah.
removed ourselves from that. So, but if you DM me, I can send you pictures and all that stuff of what we have available. You can still see some of the content on the Facebook and the Instagram page. Also on our business page, for the leadership, you can catch a few short video clips, inspirational, motivational, and challenging videos. The name of the Instagram and Facebook page is Cultivate Network Leadership. Again, that's Cultivate Network Leadership on Facebook and Instagram, and you called out one's clothing on Facebook and Instagram.
Awesome, awesome. So that's the Cultivate Network, ladies and gentlemen. And you can also contact Mr. Anthony Nelson Jr. anywhere via LinkedIn or Facebook. Send an email as well. He can get in touch with you regarding him coming to be, regarding you being a partner, being a supporter for his business. And also, ladies and gentlemen, I want you guys to know that you are important. Your gifts, your dreams, they matter. And that no matter what someone says to you, has spoken over to you, you believe what God says about you. You believe what you know to be true. We all have flaws, this true things that we can work on to improve ourselves, to make us better. However, as we spoke on today, you be consistent, right? You shift your mindset, shift your thinking, transform it. Romans 12, 1 and 2 teaches us about to transform our mind, our thinking, and not be conformed to the ways of the world. We see a lot that's happening in today's society. However, we don't have to be the Debbie Downer for somebody else. We can rise to the occasion and stand on our truth, stand on our belief, our faith in the Word of God. Until next time, ladies and gentlemen, thank you all for listening to the Simply Monique Radio Show. I'm your host, Monique. Thank you, Mr. Anthony Nelson, for being a guest. Again, we appreciate you.
Thank you.
Hey, y'all. Thanks for listening to the Simply Monique Radio Show. Tune in weekly at 3 p.m. Central Standard Time, 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time every Thursday on digital radio platforms. Now, enjoy the music. Until next time, stay up, be blessed, and peace.
Once I was lost, but now I'm found. Just trying to find my way and figure it out. Maybe if I dedicate my time to the purpose that He has for me, then I could see the light of a brand new kind of love. Even when I wasn't sure, even when I'm down, He keeps on lifting me up. So when you can't find the words to say, you don't need no words to pray. Even in silence, I still worship Him. Silent worship, silent worship. Yes, it's quiet, but He can hear you. Silent worship, silent worship. Worship Him in silence. He told me to be still and know that He is God. I know you try not to complain when life is getting